Tonight on CTV News, deadly crashes in Langley.
Me and another gentleman reached in and picked her up and pulled her out of the car.
5 people killed in recent weeks. Police say people are racing on back roads to avoid highway construction.
I was mad. I got very little money in my savings account, and that would take everything out of it.
A hit-and-run crash involving a woman with a disability. Her battle with ICBC to get her scooter replaced.
I would love to be able to write my own speeches the way that I used to.
Questions about a comedian and speechwriter hired by the Premier. Why the opposition is not amused.
This is CTV News with me, Jung Lee.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. It has been a deadly summer for Langley drivers. Last night, another crash claimed a life. 5 people have been killed in the past 6 weeks. It appears frustration with highway construction is partly to blame for crashes that have ended tragically. CTV's Michelle Bernaro reports on what police are doing.
In a heartbeat, a life is lost, another driver injured, and witnesses left reeling.
I didn't really believe the car had actually flipped over like that. It was kind of huge cloud of pieces and dust, and pieces just exploded into the air.
Around 6:30 Monday evening, 2 vehicles crashed near 256th Street and 48th Avenue in Langley. This witness says neighbors rushed to help but could not save the man in a Corvette, so they turned their efforts to the driver of the other vehicle.
She, was in not good shape and scared. When we pried enough of the glass out, we reached in, me and another gentleman reached in and picked her up and pulled her out of the car.
The second driver suffering non-life-threatening injuries. A relative of the man who died spoke with CTV. He described the victim as a hardworking father and grandfather who was just on his way home after running an errand when tragedy struck. On Tuesday, Mounties began stepping up enforcement on the rural roads.
This gentleman's doing 79 in a 60. What we're finding is that there's some motorists are trying to avoid construction zones on the Trans-Canada Highway and other areas, so they take these rural roads. And this is where we're asking individuals to just slow down, pay attention to the speed limit, and pay attention to the road signs.
As police try and piece together the cause of Monday's crash, Mounties say in the previous 4 fatal accidents in Langley, speed played a role, one of those crashes happening just blocks away. But this witness thinks the driver who survived Monday may have been blinded by the setting sun and missed the stop sign.
100% that is being looked at.
The witness wants a flashing light at the intersection to warn drivers and has another message.
I wish people slowed down around here.
Michelle Bernaro, CTV News, Langley.
Richmond Mayor Malcolm Brodie says he will not be seeking another term in office. Brodie has been Richmond's mayor since 2001 and sat on council for 5 years before that. Under his watch, Brodie notes the city has gained the Richmond Olympic Oval, the Canada Line, and several fire halls and community centres. He says he will remain fully engaged until the end of his term next November, adding that his successor will face several challenges that won't be solved overnight.
There are going to be long-standing issues. So I think that it's the appropriate time to get someone else involved and to have someone take over leadership at this point in time. I've got a wife, I've got kids, I've got grandkids. They've sacrificed a lot for me to be the mayor over so many years, and they're the top of my priority list.
He says some of the biggest challenges facing the city include the Cowichan land title change, as well as housing and supportive housing. The strike by the BCGEU is once again escalating to include workers in the province's mining sector. Employees at the Mineral Development and Mineral Titles offices in Vancouver, as well as the Southeast Mines office in Cranbrook, joined picket lines today. This move is designed to target the natural resource projects announced by Prime Minister Carney last week, which the union says cannot go forward without its workers. Now, 2 weeks into the the strike. The union has already announced an overtime ban for liquor distribution store workers, as well as sheriffs and correctional officers. Critics are speaking out tonight over the provincial and federal government's decision to sign off on a controversial liquefied natural gas export facility on the North Coast. As CTV's Ben Milger reports, opponents cite environmental concerns and a lack of consensus amongst nearby First Nations. They're also concerned about who owns it.
When complete, the Sula Sims LNG project will be able to export 120 million tons of liquid natural gas annually to countries in Asia.
It's a win for British Columbians and Canadians with the revenue that it will bring in for all of the services that we need. It's a win for a global transition to lower carbon fuels.
The federal government is also on board with the $10 billion facility.
It will be the second largest private sector investment in the history of this country. The second largest in the history of this country. It will employ thousands of Canadians.
The floating liquefaction platforms will actually be built in South Korea and shipped into place at Piers Island near the Alaska border. The province says the project will employ 800 people during construction and 200 once operational.
This is an opportunity for us to stand on our own 2 feet, for us as a country and as a province to build on our strengths and stand independently.
Critics don't see it that way because the facility will be American-owned.
Where do the profits go? Where do the benefits flow to? And when we're talking about Wall Street, these guys know how to structure a deal so that it benefits them.
The Niska Nation is in support, and its leadership stood alongside the Premier Tuesday morning.
As BC and Canada work to retool our economy, Indigenous nations all across Canada are playing a central role.
4 of 6 other nearby First Nations have not granted consent. Environmentalists call the project a carbon bomb and say the American owners have strong ties to Donald Trump.
Those investors, regardless of their political affiliation, could invest anywhere. They could bring their money to other places. They've decided to bring it here to British Columbia to create jobs and opportunity for the Niska people, for British Columbians, and for Canadians.
Opponents say their last hope is to sway financial lenders against backing the mega project. Ben Milger, CTV News, Vancouver.
The BC Conservatives say it's no laughing matter. They are calling out the Premier for hiring a comedian speechwriter. They're blasting the expense at a time the budget is ballooning and the government is laying off civil servants. CTV's Rob Buffum has more.
With the NDP projecting a record and growing deficit of $11.6 billion, the opposition say the government is tone deaf in its spending choices.
At a time that we're supposed to be having a hiring freeze, at a time that we're supposed to be seeing potential cutbacks to the workforce, the Premier's office, as long as it suits the Premier's need, seems to spend money.
The NDP says it's taking steps to tighten its financial belt. It's reduced the public service by 850 staff, and more cuts are likely coming. But the opposition, BC Conservatives, discovered the government has hired a stand-up comedian, Charles Demers, to help the Premier write speeches. He makes $165 an hour, and his contract allows him potentially to make a maximum of $300,000 over 4 years.
Well, there's nothing funny about it, and it's the ultimate David Eby Friends and Insiders move again.
The Premier's office alone currently has 6 communications staff on salary. It acknowledges Demers has been paid nearly $100,000 in the past 3 years. Today, Eby defended the spending, noting Demers has only been paid $14,000 so far this year.
Today, for example, I'm delivering 5 speeches. I would love to be able to write my own speeches the way that I used to, but I do need support to be able to respond to each event.
Anytime a politician starts trying to justify the spending by saying only as a qualifier, you know they got caught out.
Demers himself responded to the controversy online, noting he doesn't just write jokes for Eby, and this isn't the first Premier who's hired him.
David Eby's not the first Premier of British Columbia that I've written for. I wrote for John Horgan, although for John Horgan, I did only write jokes.
The controversy comes as government workers continue to strike seeking higher wages, and questions swirl about when the NDP plans to balance the budget. a source of concern from the business community.
Government kind of is saying on the one hand, we're going to balance the budget, but then the numbers tell a different story. And the different story is higher spending as far as the eye can see.
Rob Buffum joins us live from Victoria now. And Rob, what does the head of the striking BCGEU say about this contract?
Well, Paul Finch, the head of the BCGEU, today actually took to X, formerly Twitter, in support of Charles Demers. He says Charles is not just a comedian, but an accomplished writer and public intellectual, well qualified for his role. This isn't where criticism is due. So while there will certainly be people who are upset that the government is paying somebody beyond the vast communications team here, there is support amongst the BCGEU from their head for this decision. Mijung.
Rob Buffum reporting live tonight from Victoria. A Langley woman was a victim of a hit and run in early August while riding her motorized scooter. With the driver still unidentified, she didn't expect her situation could get worse. She was devastated to hear from ICBC that they wouldn't cover the cost of the scooter she relies on. CTV's Dimitra Maragos has the story.
A hit and run.
Yeah, it was scary.
Caught on camera.
And then he just kept on going.
In early August, Beverly Tershman was struck by an oncoming red car at the intersection of 203rd Street and 56th Avenue in Langley.
I fell down, the scooter fell on top of my leg, and I just was shocked.
She says her injuries weren't life-threatening.
Just because it turned out to be lucky doesn't mean that it didn't affect you and didn't hurt you.
Langley RCMP say they canvassed the area but have not been able to identify the vehicle. Despite several cameras at the intersection, Mounties say they are only live feed and do not record. 6 weeks later, Tershman still feels frustration towards the driver.
I want to know what made him think that my life was worth nothing.
And adds she didn't know things could get worse until she filed a claim with ICBC.
Basically told me that I wasn't covered, that they wouldn't be anything. I'm covered for the injuries, but not covered for the scooter.
Tershman says due to her fibromyalgia and other medical issues, she relies on it to be independent.
It's just stressful knowing that you can't go out.
For more than a month, she's been stuck at home. Describing herself as low income, she used her savings to buy a new scooter.
I was mad. I got very little money in my savings account, and that would take everything out of it.
Paying close to $4,000 out of pocket. We reached out to Scooter City, responsible for the repairs of Tershman's original scooter. They say they never received clarity from ICBC on covering the costs until today, when CTV began investigating.
Unfortunately, here an error was made.
ICBC says initially Tershman was told she needed to pay a deductible.
In this case, we fell a bit short because an error was made, an error that we apologize for.
The insurer focused on providing Tershman with the physical care she needs, including...
We are going to take care of the scooter for her to get her back to getting around the way that she needs to.
Tershman says she doesn't think there would have been a resolution if CTV hadn't intervened.
Thank you very much.
This ending makes her feel...
well, a lot happier. A big weight has been lifted.
Again, Langley RCMP says that they have not been able to identify the red vehicle. They're asking that if anyone have any helpful information in this case, they reach out to the Langley RCMP. Dimitra Maragos, CTV News, Langley.
The Vancouver Park Board has taken a major step, one that could reshape how people move through Stanley Park. The Park Board has voted to move forward with a comprehensive mobility study aimed at reducing traffic and improving access in the park. Next steps include working with TransLink and City Engineering to plan a new bus service through the park and bringing back a separated bike lane. The board scrapped the option for the controversial multi-level parkade. Tonight, Vancouver City Council is considering big changes to its zoning and development rules. A public hearing is getting underway this hour about getting rid of such hearings in an effort to streamline home construction in large parts of the city. CTV's Martin McMahon has more, including reaction from those concerned. This is eroding the democratic process.
It's not that radical to think that people who are actually affected by redevelopment should have a voice and a say.
Teresa Alfeld is a renter in Fairview, whose apartment building has recently been approved for rezoning. She's among those speaking at a public hearing on proposed changes that would streamline the development process.
Things don't have to go this way. We don't have to say, yes, let's pre-zone the area, let's cause massive land lift, let's give a gift to developers. There's actually an opportunity to fight back. The irony is that we're speaking at a public hearing about keeping public hearings.
The change would mean property owners would be able to go straight to a development permit application. They wouldn't have to apply for rezoning in areas including the Broadway and Cambie corridors.
The pre-zoning is a good thing. It's going to make the process faster, so you'll have a somewhat attenuated process for getting each project approved. That said, there are still very onerous requirements in terms of affordability and the tenure of housing units. So I would be surprised to see a big flood of projects until things turn around.
Some feel there's a need for the changes.
There's a famous quote, "It's easier to elect a pope than to approve a small apartment building in the city of Vancouver." Part of the problem with the public hearing process is that people are self-selected instead of randomly selected. If you do a poll, or Burnaby held a workshop with randomly selected participants, what you find is about 2/3 of people support more high-rises near SkyTrain.
If approved, the changes would affect more than 4,000 parcels of land. With Alfeld concerned, many others will suffer the same fate she will. Displacement. Martin McMahon, CTV News, Vancouver.
Taking a dive into the latest wellness trend, why we could see cold plunge pools and saunas popping up in Vancouver. Also ahead.
I'm seeing Bailey's Law everywhere. I'm seeing people talking about the bail reform requirements.
Supporters of a murdered Kelowna mother vow to fight for Bailey McCourt's legacy. Better protection for domestic violence victims. When CTV News continues, stay with us. The man charged with beating his estranged wife to death with a hammer in a Kelowna parking lot in July, just hours after being convicted on domestic violence charges, appeared in court this morning. Dozens of supporters of the victim were there in their ongoing effort to change a system they say failed the mother of two. CTV's Shannon Patterson has the story.
Justice for Bailey! They gathered outside the Kelowna courthouse as James Plover was set to appear by video link on a charge of second-degree murder for allegedly beating his estranged wife Bailey McCourt to death with a hammer in a Kelowna parking lot.
First, we're here to honor Bailey and to support her family in bail reform and raising awareness about abuse that happens within families.
Plover was convicted of domestic violence charges just hours before he allegedly killed McCourt, free to go while he awaited sentencing.
It is time that the system changes for women. We've waited far too long.
McCourt's supporters are pushing the federal government to pass Bailey's Law, which calls for GPS tracking for people convicted of domestic violence charges who are awaiting sentencing, a domestic violence offender registry, and tougher penalties for intimate partner homicides where there's a documented history of abuse.
I'm seeing Bailey's Law everywhere. I'm seeing people talking about the bail reform requirements. I'm seeing the MLAs. I'm seeing the MPs. I'm seeing people that generally don't go into the domestic violence space. They're speaking about it and they're speaking loudly about it.
We've got enough support from several levels of government that I really truly hope, and I have to believe, that as our voices keep being heard, that they're hearing us and that there will be change coming.
They called this event a walk in Bailey's shoes.
Put the advocacy out there right in their face for them to do this.
People are starting to pay attention. They're starting to realize that it's not something that happens in a faraway place that they've never heard of. It happens in their next door neighbor's house. It happens to their sister, happens to their best friend.
Plover's court appearance was brief, with both the domestic violence and murder cases adjourned to November as McCourt supporters fight to get justice for the young mother of two.
I hope that the system doesn't fail us again.
Shannon Patterson, CTV News.
The BC Lions will host their 5th annual Orange Shirt Day game next Friday against the Toronto Argonauts.
As an organization, we feel it is extremely important to continue to learn about the painful history and ongoing impacts of residential schools, to raise awareness with our fans, and to strengthen relationships within the Indigenous community.
Hundreds of residential school survivors and their families will be in the crowd as the club presents a $20,000 check to the Orange Shirt Society. Players will also wear special orange jerseys for warm-up, and the first 10,000 fans through the gates will get free orange T-shirts.
That's great.
Yeah, a sea of orange in the audience. Well, Anne, a pretty perfect day, I think.
Right? Summer's not over. Just a reminder, yes, very hot today, above seasonal temperatures, and we are seeing clear and calm conditions out there right now. So here's a look at temperatures across the Lower Mainland. 26 at the Harbour. You're looking at 27 in Burnaby right now, 28 degrees in Pitt Meadows, and you're looking at 29 degrees in Surrey and Abbotsford, 30 degrees right now in Chilliwack. So as we head through the overnight, it'll be clear and calm and warm. It's 16 degrees only as an overnight low. Into tomorrow, we will pretty much do it all over again. Still above seasonal temperatures, sunny skies. Inland temperatures will reach 25.
CTV weather brought to you by Expedia Cruises. Make the most of your next vacation by booking with those who've been there. Visit expediacruises.ca.
And then after tomorrow, a little bit of a cool down. We're back to seasonal temperatures with some more rain on the way. I've got those details coming up.
But 30 degrees in Chilliwack, that's more like end of July, not September,
exactly,
right?
But it's still summer for a few more days anyways.
All right, thanks, Yago. A public health warning as pet owners in Alberta and BC get sick from salmonella. The links to dog food coming up. And
it's a shame, really, they're not having a carriage ride through Windsor.
Heightened security in the UK. U.S. President Donald Trump has arrived for his second state visit. Royal treatment indoors, a different story outside. Transport and Internal Trade Minister Chrystia Freeland says she is stepping down from cabinet again and will not run in the next federal election. Freeland announced the move exactly 9 months after she quit former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's cabinet, setting the stage for his resignation. She lost her leadership bid to Mark Carney, but her departure from his cabinet appears to be amicable as he's asked her to serve as Canada's new special representative for the reconstruction of Ukraine. The move is being praised by other politicians.
The work that Chrystia will lead on Ukraine will be deeply impactful, not just for the war, but for Canada's national security.
She's always a friend. I talk to her almost daily, bi-daily, and she's a good person, and she'll do a great job over in Ukraine, and I support her all the way.
Freeland has been a member of Parliament for 12 years and became Canada's first female finance minister in 2020. Her two portfolios will be divided between existing cabinet ministers, with Dominic LeBlanc taking over internal trade and Stephen McKinnon taking transport. U.S. President Donald Trump has arrived in the UK for an unprecedented second state visit. Trump is being greeted with pomp and pageantry as well as protests. CTV's Joy Malbin has the details from Windsor, where a massive security operation is underway.
It's a striking show of force. In Windsor, police on the streets on horseback patrolling the River Thames. And there will be a no-fly zone. Police are concerned someone might try to fly a drone over the castle walls. After the targeted assassination of Conservative activist Charlie Kirk, as well as the attempts on Trump's life, no one is taking any chances. All of the events will be kept inside for security reasons and hidden from the public. Those hoping for a glimpse of the U.S. president in Windsor will be disappointed. Donald Trump and the First Lady arriving here by helicopter. That's how tight security is.
This is the second state visit. You know, it's spectacular. It's a shame, really, they're not having a carriage ride through Windsor.
The Stars and Stripes along with the Union Jack may be on display, but not everyone is rolling out the welcome mat.
Oh, this man is endangering human life on this planet. He's got to be told that, and I can't go to America, so he's kindly come here.
Trump will avoid the demonstrations and protests against his visit from the Stop Trump Coalition and others, angry over what they call the president's divisive politics. Trump and the First Lady will be treated to a grand display of royal pageantry, hoping this so-called soft power of the royals will appeal to the unpredictable president. In the face of Trump's annexation threats, it was King Charles who went to Canada to show solidarity.
As the anthem reminds us, the true north is indeed strong and free.
That intervention by the king seems to have worked, though Canadians aren't over it yet.
I'm from Canada, so at the moment we feel a little bit misunderstood by him, so I'm not sure that we're excited about Donald Trump.
This visit will be a royal charm offensive with all the pomp and ceremony, from a military fly past, a gun salute, and a lavish state banquet, all designed to dazzle the U.S. president in hopes of signing some crucial business deals. Joy Melvin, CTV News, Windsor.
Why people were rappelling down a 25-story building in downtown Vancouver today, also ahead.
It's essentially like doing a workout without having to move.
How City Council could one day approve cold plunge pools and saunas in local parks. That's ahead.
Your morning just got a little brighter. Wake up and start your day with CTV Your Morning, and you could be $20,000 richer. Simply watch CTV Your Morning Vancouver for the hourly code word. Then enter it online at ctvvancouver.ca for your chance to win. Imagine what you could do with an extra $20,000. CTV Your Morning's $20,000 giveaway. Watch CTV Your Morning Vancouver, weekday morning 6 to 9.
Downtown Vancouver's Guinness Tower turned into a vertical runway today as more than 50 people rappelled down the 25-story building. It was all part of the 20th annual Drop Zone fundraiser for Easter Seals BC Yukon. The event encourages participants to step out of their comfort zone while raising money for programs and camps that support kids and adults with disabilities. So far, this year's challenge has raised more than $60,000. The City of Vancouver is going full steam ahead on the latest wellness trend. It wants to make it easier for cold plunges and saunas to operate. As CTV's Isabella Zaffarisi reports, if approved, you could soon see pop-up saunas at the beach.
From sitting in hot, dry heat to immersing yourself in a cold dip. Contrast therapy is growing in popularity as a wellness trend.
It's essentially like doing a workout without having to move.
It hasn't been easy for businesses like the Good Sauna in East Vancouver, navigating red tape in a budding industry.
Nothing existed like this in the past, and so there's been no legislation, rules, regulations on how to do this.
But the city wants to make it easier. ABC councillor Lisa Dominato tabled a successful motion last June.
There's a real appetite for this. It started in Europe and Nordic countries, but we're seeing an evolution here in Canada of an interest in having these services, and our regulations are really outdated.
Prior to the motion, cold plunges and saunas weren't allowed outdoors. Now a staff report wants to expand them across the city in commercial and industrial zones, similar to Good Sauna, located outside in a brewery.
So having a business like ours here is helping to boost their business and also bring people down here who maybe otherwise wouldn't know it was here.
Updates to the city's zoning and development bylaw could even see cold plunges and saunas in parks.
So I have heard some proponents who are interested in potentially offering kind of pop-up saunas near the beach, and so if you're doing cold plunge swims in the ocean.
For business owners, any change is welcome.
You know, the big complaint about this city that it's boring. It's boring because we're being stopped from doing interesting things in a quickly and efficiently.
A public hearing is planned for next month. If council approves these changes, they could come into effect by the end of the year. Isabella Zaffarisi, CTV News, Vancouver.
The Greater Vancouver Food Bank officially has a permanent home base for the first time in its 41-year history.
One of the biggest problems we had was leasing space that was large enough for our distribution in Vancouver. And when you have to lease the space, you only get maybe 3, maybe 5 years. And in a real estate market like Vancouver, the prices keep going up. So I could see in the next 5 or 10 years we'd be in a situation where we wouldn't be able to afford the lease in Vancouver.
A ribbon-cutting ceremony was held this morning at the warehouse on Low Heat Highway near Rupert Street. The food bank launched a springtime fundraiser to buy the $15 million space after being forced to relocate 4 times in 6 years. We catch up with a baby beaver rescued from a river on Vancouver Island. Also ahead, a warning from public health officials. More than 24 people in Alberta and BC have gotten sick from Salmonella, the cause their dog's food. The story ahead. Taking a look at today's markets, the Canadian dollar traded for 72 cents to the American dollar. Oil was up $1.22, closing the day at $64.52 U.S. Gold gained more than $6 on the day. The TSX and the Dow Jones both closed the day lower, down 115 points and 125 points, respectively. Luxury automaker Aston Martin is going after a new market with its latest model. This is the Aston Martin baby stroller. It's a collaboration with car seat brand Egg. The stroller comes in 3 colors, including the iconic racing green. It has a starting price of about $4,000 and will be available in the UK later this year. No word yet on whether they'll be for sale in Canada. A happy update now on a little critter that took center stage on a recent Sawatsky sign-off. After being rescued by a family from some river rapids in Saanich last month, the North Island Wildlife Recovery Centre is happy to report that little Timber is well on her way to recovery. They say she's almost tripled her weight since arriving and has taken a particular liking to her sweet potato treats, as we saw. With daily supervised swims, the volunteer crew says her rehabilitation is well on track. She seems to have a really good appetite.
Yes, she does. She's gaining weight. She's so adorable. We need a 24-hour webcam on her. I could watch her all the time.
Very cute. Now, do they train her to build dams too, or is that just instinctive?
Apparently, it's instinctive. So
Amazing.
there are other ones in sanctuaries. They'll just start building dams with towels and toys in doorways and block people. So
they'll have to watch out for that when she gets bigger.
Yes, exactly. But yes, great news that she's doing a lot better. All right, let's take a look at our forecast. It felt like summer out there. It's still summer, and the hot spot in Canada was Lytton once again. 33.4 degrees, just sneaked by the record back in 1967 at 33.3. And it's going to continue to be hot as we head into tomorrow as well. All thanks to this huge ridge of high pressure, pretty much dominating the whole province as we head into tomorrow. A little bit of a change for the north coast and central coast as this system moves its way in, bringing in some light showers. So this is what we can expect. We're on our storm tracker. This is how everything will play out through the overnight into early tomorrow morning. There's a line of showers stretching all the way down to the west coast of Vancouver Island and the northern tip of Vancouver Island for your early morning commute, slowly clearing through the afternoon. But for the south coast and southern interior, it does stay dry. You'll see a lot of sunshine for the southern interior. Temperatures in the high 20s. Your provincial forecast at the bottom of your screen. As mentioned, early morning showers for Port Hardy. Before it clears out of the way, you'll see a high of 17 degrees. A mix of sun and cloud in 22s for Campbell River and Comox. For the South Island, you'll see a few showers for Tofino, 19 degrees. A mix of sun and cloud for Port Alberni at 23. Sunny skies once again from Nanaimo right down to Victoria. You'll see temperatures between 21 and 22 degrees. For the Sunshine Coast, a few clouds and 20. Warmer up the Sea to Sky Highway with sunny skies, 23 degrees for Whistler, 24 for Squamish, and for us across the lower mainland. We'll see sunny skies once again, above seasonal temperatures with between 22 degrees near the water, 25 degrees inland. Get outside and enjoy it. A little cooler as we head into Thursday under a mix of sun and cloud, 19 degrees into Friday. Mostly sunny skies and 21. Starts off dry on Saturday to kick off the weekend, but then showers roll in the afternoon. Slight chance into Sunday morning before it clears out of the way. We say hello to fall at 11:19 in the morning on Monday under mostly cloudy skies, and then on Tuesday, a few sunny breaks and a high of 20. CTV weather brought to you by Expedia Cruises for air, land, and sea. BC Vacations. So yeah, summer is going out with a bang. It's still holding on right through until Monday.
Yeah, definitely. But you know, the evenings are a bit cooler, so it's more comfortable, easier to sleep.
Yes, definitely. I know you didn't have air conditioning, so you're very excited about the cooler nights.
Love it. Okay, thanks, Anne. Well, more than 24 people, mostly in BC and Alberta, have become ill with Salmonella. Investigators say many of the victims have one thing in common: they got sick after handling dog food. As Sinjin Alexander reports, the Public Health Agency isn't sure which brand may be responsible.
The severity of illness among dog owners varies. Some people showed mild symptoms of Salmonella. Others had fevers, severe headaches, diarrhea. Most of them told doctors they had just fed the dog using different brands of treats or kibble.
Those are all currently under investigation to determine if there is one or more specific products that are causing the illnesses.
They do know 12 people became ill in BC, 13 in Alberta, and 1 each in Ontario and the Northwest Territories. Patients range from kids to seniors. The Public Health Agency says pet food can be contaminated with bacteria, and people can get sick through contact with a dog or its food. So they recommend cleaning their dishes frequently and ensuring everyone, especially children, wash their hands right after handling foods and treats.
They are often feeding the dogs, so don't forget about them, and also they're much more susceptible to a more severe Salmonella infection.
People reported getting sick in February and into mid-August. They reported giving a wide range of food, including freeze-dried treats. Among the investigation, finding a common trend, like whether different companies use the same suppliers.
That's all very much under investigation, so it's just a process that does take some time.
And they believe the number of infections is much higher because many people who had mild symptoms likely didn't report it. Sinjin Alexander, CTV News, Vancouver.
Walking cockatoos. Meet the Calgary man who's been doing it for decades, even letting his pets take flight. And Curran's comedy. Adam finds out how an awkward kid grew up to discover an empowering talent on stage. Coming up on the Sawatsky Sign-Off. Right now, here's a preview of Your Morning Vancouver.
See an interest rate cut this week from the Bank of Canada. Wednesday on Your Morning Vancouver, after 3 consecutive holds, what financial markets are predicting from its rate decision. We'll bring you that as it comes in. We're learning more about how to manage the epidemic of loneliness, what a new study says could be the key. We'll see you in the morning. Hi, Carrie here. You notice we have a new look in the morning on CTV, but it's the same great show. It includes a new name and enhanced screen, bringing you updates on weather and news headlines. We invite you to join us on Your Morning Vancouver.
Legendary actor, filmmaker, and environmentalist Robert Redford has died at the age of 89. Best known as a go-to leading man of the late 1960s and 70s, he starred in films like The Way We Were and All the President's Men. Redford was the driving force behind the iconic Sundance Film Festival, named after his character from the movie Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. His publicist says he died at his home in Utah, surrounded by family. The head coach of the Abbotsford Canucks is sticking around for another season. The Canucks organization announced today that Manny Malhotra's contract has been extended. He joined Abbotsford last season, guiding the team to win its first ever Calder Cup championship. The former Vancouver Canucks center brings nearly 1,000 games of NHL experience and a strong development background to his role as head coach. The province is teaming up with Science World to launch a new touring program inspired by Vancouver's role as a FIFA World Cup host city.
The science of sport offers an incredible opportunity to inspire generations of athletes, coaches, engineers, designers, video producers, and kinesiologists.
The Science of Sport is part of Science World's On the Road program and is set to tour more than 100 elementary schools across BC in the coming year. It is designed to teach students about the science, technology, and career paths of the sports world. The province is hoping it'll get youth excited about next June's World Cup Games in Vancouver. It's a great idea that they go out on the road, because not every kid can come down to Science World. Okay, well, a pair of cockatoos are turning heads in Calgary parks. Their owner doesn't keep them caged or tethered. He lets them fly free. Enrique Esteban has been taking his two cockatoos, Bandito and Corky, out for walks for almost 30 years. Wow. Bandito can only glide because of an old wing injury, but Corky soars above the trees. Sometimes they're gone for hours before returning to him. Esteban says his goal isn't to train them, it's to let them simply be birds.
You reassure them that you understand what they like. You reassure them that you understand something that you don't like. And when that happens, they bring you to their flock. Whenever you have a pet, never humanize your pet. Instead, animalize yourself.
Esteban says he originally worried the cockatoos would be attacked by birds of prey, but says after decades of flying free, they've proven they're capable of eluding predators.
That's amazing.
Incredible that they can go for hours. Wouldn't you be worried that they would never come back?
They know where the food is.
Good recall. Better behave than my dog.
And I guess eagles probably steer clear. They were going, what are these birds?
Yeah, exactly. They're not normal birds.
Okay, Kevin's here with a look ahead to your late local news.
Well, Jung, we'll have more on the deadly triple stabbing in East Van earlier this month that killed 3 women. 1 man has been charged, but police releasing very little information at this time. Tonight, we're hearing from the executive director of the Battered Women's Support Services Organization, who says she's noticed a devastating pattern and rise of gender-based violence. She's speaking out, calling for more action and transparency from law enforcement, including the Vancouver Police Department, why she believes more could have been done to prevent this horrific attack. That and all your late-breaking news coming up at 11:30.
Yeah, we haven't heard much from police about this case.
Not a lot.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Life wasn't always full of laughs for one stand-up comic from Victoria. But after landing a funny role in his high school play, he found a way to turn his diversity into comic gold. Adam explains in tonight's Sawaski Sign-Off.
As the camera captures Curran Dobbs from behind,
"You're behind me 100%.
He feels compelled to comment.
You got my back.
And if we go back to the beginning of his story...
Well, I've always been a bit of a punster.
But while he was always smiling in pictures as a child, Curran says he was feeling depressed and worthless by his early teens.
It was very lonely, and I had a hard time making friends at all.
Curran found some comfort in music before learning strategies to connect with others after being diagnosed with autism. But nothing compared to being cast in a high school production playing a comedic role.
That felt great. That was amazing, getting the laughs.
Curran discovered he could befriend kids through laughter and eventually asked a local promoter about doing amateur stand-up.
He said, "Sure, I'll put you on my show. It's in 5 days. Write a set."
Curran was terrified. He'd never actually written a joke before, but he found that the process of planning out an interaction with the public was reassuring and faced his fear.
Good evening, ladies.
Curran got a few laughs that first night, and now, after more than a decade of doing stand-up professionally, has earned countless more.
I'm on the autistic spectrum, so if I seem rude or impolite, or if I'm not making eye contact, I just want you to know it's because I really feel like you're not worth the effort. You hear the laughter. Value, talent.
Well, after earning national attention for making it to the semifinals on Canada's Got Talent,
every joke worked, every line worked.
Curran now considers his autism and the unique perspective of the world it offers to be a comedic superpower.
There's a bit of a cost, but then there's also that gift that comes with it.
Which is why, if he could go back in time and comfort his younger self, he'd say, never give up.
You're better than you think you are,
or if you ain't yet, you will be.
Adam Sawatsky, CTV News, Saanich.
Wow.
Amazing.
It takes so much courage to do stand-up comedy. I could not do it.
Just in a little bar, but he went all the way to national TV, international TV.
Yeah, addicted to the sound of people laughing at your jokes. I can see that.
Very nice. Also nice is our scenic snapshot for tonight. Take a look at this gorgeous photo of the golden hour in Abbotsford. Thanks, Shane, for sending this one in. And we want to see your scenic snapshot as well. So email us at scenicsnapshot@ctv.ca.
Beautiful. Lots of sunshine in the next few days.
So nice to
enjoy it.
Okay, Kevin's back at 11:30. Thanks for sharing part of your evening with us. Good night.
Good night.